Hey everybody, welcome to the Blockchain Live program. We talk about crypto revolution, which is going on in our eyes and the part of which we are. And we talk with people who create the industry with their own minds and arms. That's the first edition of the program in English since I have launched it almost 2 years ago. And please help me welcome my today's upcoming guest. He is broadcasting from United States, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. His name is R.L. Bryer. He's blockchain enthusiast, liberty lover, Austrian Economics fan, the author of the Blockchain Project Renaissance first and second volume, and he also known in the YouTube as a podcaster. His channel is called Pittsburgh HODLr, see link below, and he is the community member of the Epic Cash project. So, Mr. R.L. Bryer, thanks for joining our program.
Mr. Romanchenko, it is an honor to be on your show today, and especially because I'm the first English speaker, native English speaker on your channel. I really appreciate your time and having me on.
Yeah, that's an honor. Let me remember the brief history of our relations to our viewers. Some month ago, a strange guy from the United States wrote me on the Facebook, "Hey man, you're on crypto. I've just finished my first book. Please, if you want to grab your copy, please let me know." Okay, I thought, firstly, I thought that you want to make me a gift that you wrote. That's Bitcoin rest. Please send me some Bitcoins. I thought, hey, this man is trying to sell me his books. It sounds suspicious. I didn't do that in my life. Then I thought, why not? If the guy worked very hard, he wrote a book, maybe he's clever. I've never bought the books with Bitcoin. So please give me your address, take your Bitcoins, give me your book. I've read your book. It is based on Austrian Economics. Tell your history, your personal history. You have been in the blockchain space perhaps since the Satoshi Nakamoto has published Bitcoin white paper in 2009.
Yeah. So I was finishing up university in the United States in Columbus, Ohio. I went to Ohio State University, and I was actually on the computer one day, and I came across a piece of content about Bitcoin. And one of my buddies had just moved into town and was sleeping on my futon at that point because he hadn't found a place to live yet. So he was actually more into technology at that point than I was, and he's still into tech. So actually spoke with him yesterday. So it's funny looking back now. We had a conversation. I brought it up to him. Have you heard about Bitcoin? I just stumbled across this new digital currency. And we kind of went back and forth whether it could work or not. And we didn't pay a ton of attention at that point. And about a year later, we both started getting into the Ron Paul Liberty Movement. And he led me down the path to the Austrian School of Economics. And I was starting to wonder, like, how we could, sort of circumvent the central banking establishments across the world. And that led me back. I started thinking, I was like, well, maybe Bitcoin is the answer. So I went back and looked at Bitcoin again, and a light bulb went off for me, and I was like, this is the answer. So I've been I started getting really into cryptocurrency probably 2010. I mean, I read the white paper in 2009, but yeah, so then I started thinking about what I can do, to make a difference in the community. And a couple years ago, I saw a lot of people being taken advantage of. And I was like, I have all this, not to boast, but I have a lot of knowledge in the space. So I was like, what can I do to help? So I started making a daily vlog and called No Edits Crypto. And I've got like 400 of those. And it was just like a quick rundown of news and stuff. And then not long after that, I was talking with another friend. And I said, if I write this book, do you think it could help people? Would you read it? He said, yes. So that kind of led me into the books. And now I just finished the second one. It just came out. So it's been a long path. I've seen a lot of interesting stuff. I like to talk about, in 2009, 2010, when I first discovered Bitcoin, there was like no material. You would go a week, maybe 2 weeks, and I couldn't find anything. I hadn't stumbled across the Bitcoin Talk forum yet, really. I found it later on, but so I would get on YouTube or just search even Google, and it was like very, very slim pickings for content.
In your book, you mentioned different cryptocurrencies: Bitcoin, Ether, Steam. now and some else. So I have concluded that you do not call yourself Bitcoin maximalist. Am I correct or not? Do you call yourself Bitcoin maximalist, or Don, please explain that moment.
Yeah, I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist. I still think Bitcoin's a great project, but I think a lot of people. I believe a lot of people are getting a little bit mixed up in the cryptocurrency space with that term, just picking one currency and then trying to say that the rest really don't have any value or utility. If you study Austrian economics, you know the competition is good. So I view the competition is paramount to get the best money. So while other people that claim to be Austrians, I'm not going to name any names or anything, but some other prominent people in the space like to say they're a maximalist and the others are just scams or something like that. I just think it's ridiculous because the competition will give us the best money and we're good in any regard. So the more competition, the better quality we'll get.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. The competition of private money, the necessary conditions for development in economics. The monopoly of money is the worst thing that humanity can imagine, and it's a pity that we are living in that situation. But maybe we, you, me, and other guys will try to do something and to change the situation. And you have done the one good thing. Very, very seldom we can meet the man in the industry who wrote the book. Why did you decide to write the book?
Yeah, I've always been interested pretty much my whole adult life in like trying to educate people on things I find interesting. So this was I took all of my passions, English, writing, economics, and technology, and just combined them into one. So it seemed natural for me to do this once I started, and just teaching and writing a book about blockchain and cryptocurrency is another way to sneak in the Austrian School of Economics philosophy, and just try to educate as many people on that as possible. Because as more people come into the cryptocurrency blockchain realm, it becomes more diluted, and the message becomes a little bit more speculative. And a lot of people don't have the original ethos at heart. Privacy, sound money, and stuff like that. It's become more of a get rich quick and type. It attracts people that just want to get rich fast. So I think it's really important that we teach the basic tenets of the school. And I wrote in the second volume that just came out about the cypherpunks, the origins of cryptography. Cryptographic systems go back to Egypt, early Italy, and Greece. So just learning about like where all this came from, and obviously it wasn't digitized yet, but just learning about all of that stuff is really important to me, and then spreading that message.
How does podcasting help you to bring your message to the world?
Yeah, so that since I started like podcasting first, or doing the No Edits Crypto show, it was a way to put my message out there every day and give some sort of take on what's going on. And then it was also I noticed that a lot of people were drawn to like the daily 5 or 10 minute show. Probably averages about 8 minutes. So it's not a long show, and it's digestible on like a car ride or a train ride, or just walking around the city or wherever you are. That was my goal, to be able to digest the material rather fastly, but combine it all into one, 3 or 4 quick stories a day. Like I said earlier on, there wasn't a lot of news about crypto, but today there is. You can sit in front of the computer almost all day long, or on your phone, and just scroll through articles. So that was important to me, to have some sort of outlet to get it out every day. And it's also been a good way to like meet people like you and other great people in the space, and just connect with people that are liberty minded and really care about freedom too.
What is Epic Cash project? Why did you decide to join that project as a community member? Why are you promoting this? What are these guys do? Why do you help them?
Yeah, I actually sold my book to two of the people that I met first. They're community members in the project. We're decentralized all over the world. If you get into the Epic Cash is decentralized all over the world. If you get into the Telegram group, I can provide the link to put in the description. But yeah, so I think that Bitcoin has been super successful. Obviously, you know, at $10,000 per unit today, it's definitely overachieved compared to what everyone else thought it could do. You know, most people weren't on board of the value there, and I think Epic Cash has the opportunity to you know answer some of the questions or carry the baton forward. I'm not talking about how much it'll be worth or anything like that. I can't get into that. It's just not good to say. But I think that it answers like the privacy problems and stuff. Like I think privacy is essential to freedom, and Epic Cash is a Mimblewimble project, and through Dandelion Plus Plus and CoinJoin and a couple other things on top of the protocol, it enables people to transact privately. So while Bitcoin allows people to get into a block explorer or something and look around and see who has what, that's bothersome to me, and it could be a serious problem in the future as more people gain wealth and have hold wealth in blockchains. Prying eyes, people being able to get in and look and see what you have is a dangerous thing, especially in a lot of countries where blockchain and cryptocurrency were, originally supposed to be, help out those places the most. So, but with the privacy protocol embedded or used in Epic Cash, I think it provides a lot of utility to people, especially in like other countries where you don't want people to know what you have, basically, So and I hope that can definitely, not on a just individual basis, person to person, but also like you don't want certain states around the world maybe seeing what you have. So peer-to-peer money, could free up free markets in countries that don't have free markets, and then maybe somebody is able to eat dinner that day that wasn't able to eat dinner the day before because now they can afford to do commerce.
I always ask speakers from different countries when I do interview with them, or the speakers for the events, about their countries, their crypto version of their countries. What do we know about crypto United States? We know Securities Exchange Commission and their attack on the crypto world. We know some billionaires, like brother Winklevosses, who are investing in Bitcoin, and some stuff like that. So tell us, please, as you're being inside the United States and you're exploring the situation in more detailed vision, what is crypto United States from your point of view as the inhabitant, as the crypto enthusiast? How the things are going on in United States on the federal level, on the country, and in different states? And I don't know, I'm not sure that I know situation in every of 50 states, but yeah. Nevertheless, perhaps in Pennsylvania and the nearest states. How many enthusiasts are in the United States? What is regulation and all the things you can mention about crypto United States?
Yeah, I just got back from a conference last week. I was in Philadelphia, and I was in Anarchadelphia, and there was a lot of crypto enthusiasts there. There was probably 400.
Maybe people. Jeff Berwick from Anarchapulka. Yeah. Jeff.
He was there. Yeah, he was there. So I like, I kind of like to explain it like within crypto, there's within the world, there's centralization versus decentralization.
So did you meet Jeff Berwick personally?
Yeah, he was there. I didn't speak with Jeff personally. I've spoken with him before, though, online and stuff. But there's a dichotomy between centralization and decentralization in the world, and then within crypto, the same dichotomy exists. So whether it's just projects like certain projects, I probably shouldn't say, but some are more decentralized than others. But it's sort of like that with people who are interested in crypto too. Some of us are more liberty-minded than others, and like you mentioned, the Winklevoss or the Winklevi brothers. Some people want regulations, some don't. So it's sort of become like a little muddled, I think, of what's going on. There are certain places in the United States, like Wyoming. The Epic Cash Foundation is located in Wyoming. Some places are taking a more pro stance on cryptocurrencies and blockchain, which I think obviously is a great thing. But overall, I think the federal government's been pretty good in the U.S. with I don't think that the majority really understand cryptocurrency and blockchain, so they've kind of left it alone for the most part, other than like the ICOs and stuff like that. Which that's one of the reasons I wrote my book, was the ICOs. And I'm not huge on regulations, obviously. Being an Austrian school guy, this just doesn't mesh well with my view on the world. I think people need to be more in control of their own destiny. So I think that what they've done so far isn't terrible. But I also like to think about like places like Malta and stuff that have really embraced cryptocurrency. I think by them embracing it the way they have, people are going to move with their feet, vote with their feet, and leave the repressive places. And any state that doesn't embrace free markets and cryptocurrency and blockchain technology are going to be left behind. It's just the way the world works these days. It's too easy to get up and leave and start a business somewhere else. That's one of the reasons the United States went from the wealthiest nation in the history of the world to the largest debtor nation, which we are now. You can't just tax the rich out of their businesses here. They'll just leave. So if they do the same thing with blockchain technology, that's just like another pitfall and statism, I guess, or a pitfall of statism. So hopefully they continue to embrace it in some regard. Like I said, I'm not huge on like regulations and stuff, but some people think like what the Winklevoss brothers have done is like a good thing. I just I'm somewhere I'm not on the good. I don't think it's a great thing, but it's helped spread the message and probably helped spread adoption to people that wouldn't have been involved before, because it had like that black market sort of stain on it, I guess, from like the Silk Road and stuff. A lot of people did commerce on the Silk Road, and I wasn't one of them. But people in the news, they tried to, a lot of people tried to stop cryptocurrency in the beginning. The interest that be seems like the news and the banks, everybody wanted to paint crypto and Bitcoin, being the first one from the onset, as like some sort of evil money. It was only used for like ransom and drugs and all this stuff. But now the message has kind of changed, because I think they tried that. I think they tried to like beat it down, and it just didn't work. So now they've kind of run out of things to say about it. They recycle those narratives sometimes, but it just seems like any state that doesn't embrace it, I really believe is just going to be left behind.
Well, how do you estimate the whole level of crypto adoption in the United States? What state from 50 can maybe called the most crypto friendliest in the country? Perhaps maybe the Free State Project in the New Hampshire state. These guys are creating a libertarian community from 2011 or even earlier. They are implementing Bitcoin. So that's the question.
Yeah, that's a good question. Wyoming, like I said, Wyoming is a good place to like start a foundation and stuff. I think I'm not a lawyer or anything. I didn't read all the fine print. Epic Cash has somebody who does that, but that's where the Epic Cash Foundation is based. But as far as like adoption and usage, I would probably say that you got that right. I know New Hampshire has like a lot of places where you can just walk in and order coffee or whatever, but there's another part to this, like ATMs are popping up all over the country too. Somebody actually brought their Bitcoin Dash, and there might have been another one on there, ATM to Anarchadelphia. So I think things like that are really awesome and really cool to see. People that just like love technology, love free markets, love crypto, just really putting the effort in. It's not easy to move an ATM around. So this guy like took time out of his life he could have just shown up at this conference and, just shown up and listened to the speakers. But he took the time and effort to like lug, an ATM with him. So that kind of stuff is like really important to me, seeing people put in that hard work. And I think like eventually you're going to be able to walk into any store in the United States, or, not to be hyperbolic, but the majority of places are going to have some sort of Bitcoin ATM, and then eventually, or crypto ATM, and then eventually, hopefully, mass adoption as far as like medium of exchange.
Well, as we have been observing the industry and worldwide, we know that the main trend is that the biggest countries such as China, Russia, they are attacking crypto, attacking Bitcoin. They are against the industry. Mm-hmm. Can you tell the same thing about United States? It is the big country, rich country, wealthy country. Is United States as a government, as a state, against crypto? Or you cannot say the same. Like China, for example. China bans crypto industry. That's true. Russia exactly actually bans crypto industry. That's true. We know that. What's the estimating of the United States situation?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I just read an article the other day about the Sichuan, or I don't know how you pronounce it, province in China. Allegedly, 50% of the hashing power is coming from that province in China. But it just goes to show that even if states try to ban it, people are always going to do what they want. It's just the way the world works. You can't stop people from pursuing freedom. As far as the United States goes, I would say, I think they're being pretty friendly overall. Now, there's been some people that have just left their post. I know at least one. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he was pretty crypto friendly. So it just worries me, the democratic way is like you only get 4 to 8 years or whatever your term is in whatever position you are. It's pretty much capped. Unless you're a congressman, you can stick around for a long time. But as long as you're voted back in. But, the incentive is for, in the democratic way, this from studying Austrian Economics too, is to come in and wreak as much havoc basically as you can in that short time frame. There's economic incentive to do that, loot as fast as you can, as in contrast to like a hereditary monarchy where you have a shorter degree of time preference, or a longer degree of time preference. So democracy really worries me overall. Getting people into positions where they really don't know what they're talking about, and they have to come in and like make these decisions. So right now I feel good about it, but it does, the next election cycle I might not. So it's just kind of a tough question to answer overall, because things change rather fastly as far as like regulation stuff. There's always new regulation being made.
Well, I think that population are always more clever and more cunning than monstrous and dumb states. So the people will win in the long run. How long you have been familiar with Austrian economics? As for me, for example, if the man is in crypto and he knows Austrian economics, perhaps he knows the Hayek and Mises, can call these authors and open his books. He's my friend. That's done. And how does Austrian economics help you to understand cryptocurrencies, if it helps?
Oh yeah, it definitely helps. That's what led me down this path. In 2010, I started reading the Austrian School. I read Man, Economy, and State with Power and Market by Murray Rothbard, and that was like a life-changing book for me. I just like devoured that book.
And you had read all the book? I even hadn't read Man, Economy, and State, but
it's like a 1,400-page economic treatise, right?
Yeah.
It's like this, it's a big book.
You are the man. You're really the man.
Thanks. I actually made a study guide to that book, but it got lost on an old computer. Unfortunately, I wish I had that backed up just to look at it for myself, even, or put it out for everyone. But yeah, I started reading the Austrian School, and then the beauty of YouTube, like we talk about the different levels of decentralization, like YouTube has become like pretty centralized and obviously has like a political agenda today in itself, but it still has, you can still devour a lot of content on there. So I started with Rothbard. I went back and watched like every single Rothbard clip. I don't just read Austrian Economics. I like can probably recite to you a couple of Rothbard lectures, like just off the top of my head. And then I started looking at like Tom Woods. I really like Tom Woods. I think he's like Man of the Year or something this year by the Austrian. In Austria, they're the Austrian Economics Foundation or whatever it is. I can't remember. Is honoring him this year. I actually got invited to write a paper for that, but it's in November in Austria in Vienna. I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it. I really wanted to go. But yeah, so then I started looking at Hans Hermann Hoppe. He's like also just, I think Hans Hermann Hoppe is the man. Like what he's taught me has just been out of this world. He's been as important as any of the others, maybe the most. I listen to a lot of what he has to say, and he's the one that taught me more about like, while we're not particularly in favor of any state, that the democratic state might be the most monstrous of all. And then, who else? It's just like I started just taking in everything I could take in. So those were like those are the 3 or 4 that I named. But I did read The Road to Serfdom, and you mentioned Hayek, and who just really changed my outlook. And how does that what has that done for me? I think you just learn about value, and that states really can't. They really don't produce. They don't produce anything. They can't produce goods. They only produce bads. So they have to take the money from us, the individual, and then they expropriate us. And then they try to put something together that is useful, but it almost always fails because they don't have any way to determine whether they're being successful. There's no cost, so. But yeah, so that just so many different elements. Learn about back then before Bitcoin. I learned about before I realized that Bitcoin was the answer. It was, and a lot of Austrians are split on this. It's like good money is only specie money, gold, silver, and stuff like that.
Come on,
and I still think that gold and silver have a good, obviously they're going to be money for the foreseeable future. I just think that the properties of digital cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and are the future, and the properties of Bitcoin are better than gold and silver, and that while gold and silver are good money, they're not really portable and they're not really usable in everyday commerce, and there's really not very many people trying to make that happen. So also find it very interesting and very intriguing that you can take your net worth and walk across the border with no one being any wiser about it. And you can't do that with specie money. You can't cross a border in a time of distress. Say you're in a country where your state collapses, and you can't do that. They're not going to let you leave. You already can't take certain coins outside of the United States. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit here, but you already can't take certain coins outside of the United States because the melt value is worth more than the actual value of the coin. So that right there tells me that you really don't own your money. If you can't do what you want with it, then you don't own it. So nobody can. This is all about like taking stock in what you have, what you own. Being an individual, educating yourself, holding on to your value, being your own bank. Not everyone is ready for that, but I think like the people that, are like autodidacts and self-learners, we're a little bit ahead of the game here. And eventually, if we can do enough of these shows and things like that and write the books and do the podcasts like you do, everyone will come aboard soon enough, I think.
Well, how many crypto enthusiasts from your peers do you know among them who are also the Austrian involved or Austrian oriented, or perhaps just heard something about Austrian economics? How many? One person, two person?
Oh, I would say that the majority of the people that I come in contact with that are Bitcoin enthusiasts or cryptocurrency enthusiasts are Austrian school people. Yeah, so
That's
there's
great.
some sort of there's definitely some sort of connection there. There's a link.
It is. They are United States or worldwide. You're now mentioning.
Yeah, I would say across the world. Like
Across the world.
I actually sold quite a few copies of my book in Austria, and the majority of those people were. I always ask. I'm like you. I like to know. So I always ask. Are you an Austrian school guy? Do you read, Mises and Rothbard and Hayek and Hoppe and all these? And the majority have said yes. Some of them I knew already because they had a picture of with them with Hoppe, in Austria or Germany. So I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's also like that's another great thing. Like I hate Facebook, but it's one of these centralized platforms. But I have met like a lot of good friends on there, and it's nice to be able to connect easily.
Yeah, I need to say some compliments, some good word about the United States. Perhaps the United States is in today's world is the most Austrian economics-oriented country in the world. The biggest think tank in Austria, Mises Institute, is situated in Auburn, Alabama. And I've just finished to listen to Tom Woods. He's my smartphone, my podcast. Tom Woods, The Political Incorrect Guide to the American History. That very brilliant audio book. So I really love to listen to Mises audio. Brilliant YouTube channel. So guys, please pay attention on the United States. United States is the most Austrian economics-oriented country in the world. How do you see the future of the money?
Yeah, I think that eventually everyone's going to embrace crypto, Again, not to be hyperbolic, but the vast majority will. And over time, the trust will grow. So, a lot of people still don't really understand it. You still have to explain how crypto works, how blockchains work to the novice. But over time, it'll definitely be embraced. The value, in Bitcoin, I'll talk about Bitcoin in particular, a finite supply. Exactly how many are in circulation at all times, virtually within maybe a couple thousand or whatever. You have a really good idea how many are in circulation at once. And just the ability to just see what's going on, in the United States in particular, I can speak on this because I'm an American. We don't know how many dollars are even in circulation. And that's really scary. Over the last 100 years.
Well, you know exactly what the American debt is. Debt.
Yeah, it's like $22 trillion.
Everybody knows it exactly. The debt is 20 trillions.
As the debt gets worse, people are going to look for a place to put their money. And, good money. Yeah, that's one thing about crypto and Bitcoin. I'll just speak about Bitcoin because it's like the one everyone knows right now, is that while people don't know about it yet, a lot of people don't know about it yet, like just the culture of people that are so passionate about it, more and more people will start to funnel in once more and more trust is lost in the legacy system. So like in 2008, the banking crisis, we gained so many people from that. And then, people don't really realize yet, while there's a big Austrian economics community and stuff, the majority of people still aren't Austrians. You know what I mean? Like the average person is just like going to work and doing their job. They don't do the research. So I'm hoping that over time, hopefully it doesn't have to take a complete collapse of the dollar to, make this happen. But it seems like it might. The average, life of a national currency is only 30 years. So if you live long enough, you're probably going to see your national currency, be devaluated.
Perhaps the United States dollar is the most living, the oldest fiat currency in the world, which is not completely destroyed.
Yeah.
Perhaps that.
It's
existing from more than 100 years from the.
That's right. Yeah.
But,
And since we went off it was a very strong currency when it was backed by specie money, when it was backed by gold. But then Nixon took us
yeah, I'm
off.
talking about fiat. Yeah, just
Yeah.
fiat dollar,
Oh, yeah.
not backed by gold.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, but that's when the destruction really happened. Since we left a backed specie backed dollar, we've seen the money supply double numerous times. I don't know the exact number, but it's ridiculous. So I'm hoping that I don't want to see people. Nobody. That's one of the things about the Bitcoin community is most of the people are just like solid individuals. At least the people that have been here for a long time are like the legacy people, like the original cypherpunk crypto anarchist, the anarcho-capitalist group. Like they're like legit people. They care about people. So I think that's one of the reasons that everyone does these sort of things is that we want to educate people and we don't want to see people get hurt. And we're sick of seeing the purchasing power being stolen from hard workers. So if you work, you shouldn't be having you're already paying taxes. You shouldn't be having your the fruits of your labor stolen through inflation.
Tell us something about crypto event industry in the United States.
Yeah, there's more and more popping up every year. It seems like just last month I had a friend on Twitter. She's in Pittsburgh, and she invited me to speak at a couple coming up. One about my book, and the other about Epic Cash. So I'm gonna do that hopefully in the next few months. But there's events all over this country, all over the United States right now. And the one thing that I would say is that I don't really care for the ones that cost a lot of money, because I think that goes against like we're trying to educate people and stuff, and that seems like I have nothing against people trying to make money. I just don't know if that's the way to do it. Like I don't think it's just not my favorite. But like I said, you can do what you want. Like if people want to pay the money to go, that's great. But yeah, so I'm planning on hitting more and more. I haven't gone to a ton of events. I'm a busy guy, so it's not something I do a ton of. But in the last few months, I've hit a couple, and I plan on hitting more and more. I haven't gone to Consensus, and there was talks to going to Consensus next year. But that's one of the ones that is like over $1,000 to attend, and I just don't know if I agree with paying $1,000 to hear a bunch of things. The majority of the stuff I know already, but it's sort of just like the networking is like where the the draw of that is, So, but yeah, what about if I could ask you real quick? I know you do hit a lot of events. Where is the best event you've been party to? Where has that been? Has it been in Belarus?
Perhaps in Moscow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, when I come over there, I'm gonna look you up. We're gonna go out. I'm gonna check out that part of the world because I'm very interested in checking out Russia.
So
Okay.
let me ask you one question for my friends in Russia. We know that the anti-Russian propaganda in the United States exists. CNN, Fox News, and other channels. How do you evaluate the level of anti-Russia propaganda in the United States mainstream media, and what do American people think about Russia? Do they afraid Russia, Putin, Russian hackers, and so on? Tell us, please, your opinion.
Yeah, I think that there is a segment of the United States population that does have some sort of fear of Russia. I find it so hysterical. It's like it's such a joke to me. Like I don't fear Russians at all. Every Russian I've met's great. Another reason I think I feel this way, is that I gave up television. I gave up television and like the same time I started reading the Austrian School of Economics. So I have like completely removed myself over the last 9 years or 10 years from mainstream media. So I really, I hear it. It's impossible to like not hear it because it's like in every single newspaper. And you just come across it even if you don't want to. If you're at the airport or something or whatever, you're out to eat and there's a TV in that building, that building, you're gonna hear it. But I find it comical. It's strange to me that there's so much fear, and that's just really like what governments like to do. No matter where you are, that's their goal. and without instilling fear in the populace that they really have no reason to exist. So their confidence in them wanes if there's no enemy. So they have to have some enemy or fake enemy, to get the people nervous, right? That's how I feel.
What are your recommendations, advices, and thinking about the future of industry? Give us the last words you can give.
Yeah, I would say right now is the time to educate yourself about this space. The present is always the best time. If you're not already educated, I'm sure a lot of your viewers already are because that's what you do. But if you're not, if you're just finding cryptocurrency in this channel and the message of freedom and liberty that is tied up in that, start reading Austrian Economics. Read Satoshi's white paper. Watch as many videos online as you can, whether Mr. Romanchenko's or mine and everyone else's. Just watch a vast amount of things, read a vast amount of things, and then you'll be able to decipher who's telling the truth to you.
So educate yourself, ladies and gentlemen. That's the main advice from Mr. R.L. Bryer from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, United States, the blockchain enthusiast, liberty lover, and Austrian economics fan, and author of the Blockchain Project Renaissance, and the Pittsburgh HODLr in YouTube, and a community member of Epic Cash Project. Hope we will see him again on my YouTube channel. So thank you for watching the Blockchain Live program, where we talk about crypto revolution, which is going on our eyes, and we are part of which we have been. And we talk with people who create industry by their own minds and arms. So till next time, see you in the next editions. Bye.